told you to quiet down, but now you wear a crown. Visionary queen with a spark.
Welcome to You Matter in Business with Ariel Faith, your brand, your story, and your success, because you matter in your business. Welcome back to You Matter in Business. Last week we talked with Berlyn, and she helped us understand how marketing more in an authentic, a more heart-based, without manipulation, and building ethical strategies that really attract the right clients, that get us in the right markets, and that feel good as the seller or the owner of a company. So we're aligning our own values with our marketing and how that can be such an important part of reaching the right audience. So I wanted to introduce and welcome back Berlyn Komar. And she is a digital marketing strategist who helps entrepreneurs cut through the noise of performance social media to build real, engaged communities. She's passionate about revealing the truth about do-it-yourself marketing, which is one of the things we're going to talk about today, and what actually works for small business owners versus what keeps them busy. She specializes in helping women connect authentically across generations in digital spaces while maintaining professional credibility and personal boundaries. That's quite a bit there.
Yeah, sounds good.
It sounds good. I might want to talk to this girl. Okay, so now let's talk social media. Let's do that one first, because I think that's a big.
Yeah.
Those of us who've been around social media since it really basically started have seen the shift.
Mm-hmm.
And the shift is painful for us because it used to be a playground. We went from the yellow page ads, the ads in the newspaper, the ads in the little books. Those were necessary things. Like you could not survive as a business owner without investing in those things. Then we had all this free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Out came the free world of posting on Facebook, posting on Instagram, posting on all these places. So getting a website, getting on Google, all of that was relatively free. So we didn't have to market spending a lot of money. Then the algorithm changes and all of the lovely things that happened, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't even know when it really shifted. And you had to basically buy ads to even be seen. So it was no longer free. I think that's the key I'm saying here is and if you're going to spend money, you better be thinking about what you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just throw stuff out there and have nice conversations. It's a different world. It's a different environment, and it's going to continue to become different. So with all that said, social media can really make somebody feel inauthentic and more like they're performing. Things like the people who get on the reel train where they're like, okay, do the most trendy thing to get reach. Well, that does not align for me, right? I'm not going to get up and dance to some silly song to try to get you to come to me as a professional marketer. I could, but it's not authentic to me. So how do you help people build a genuine connection in the digital space without all that stuff?
Well, the last words that you just used were funny because it is a trend at this moment I could, but why would I want to? So whether you know it or not, you're following a trend probably.
Just a different one.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry. What was the question? How to show up authentically?
How do you help people build genuine connections in digital space?
Yeah.
So they feel like it's genuine, not.
Yeah. Like we feel a lot like we have to be on Instagram, and it just forces us to okay, I'm going to create this just to put it out there. And all of the things that you said in this journey of marketing the past few decades is very true. And it's led us to this point where everything does feel really authentic. And now we have this introduction of AI. And, we've been using Canva for a few years now, and it's great. I use it. I love it. But all of our stuff looks the same, right? So we have all these templated things that's looking very similar. And now AI is coming out and everybody sounds the same. So I feel like we're in this point now where authenticity is going to become very easy again because it's literally just you showing up and saying things in your own words and in your own voice. So I feel like luckily, like that's the only one good takeaway of how everything's going online is that it's going to be really easy to be authentic again because everybody's using AI and sounding the same. So you just showing up, using your own words, being like, sharing the insights of your brand and like the values like we talked about last time and just talking to your audience, like it's going to be really easy again to show up authentically. So we have that coming for us.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because a lot of people fear
Mhm.
losing their job because of AI. I mean, I don't know why they do that, but they do. And all those movies for all those years probably don't help. But I mean, that's a legitimate fear. And I know when the imagery came out, digital designers were graphic artists were starting to
Mhm.
get nervous, and photographers were starting to get nervous. And how I started in this world of marketing was through brand photography.
That's
And I still work with creating brand content, personal branding photography for different individuals and working with what they need based on their client journey, et cetera. So I do all that strategic photography.
Mhm.
But, and people are like, aren't you worried? And for me, I really believe, kind of like what you just said, but the more people use AI, the more we see AI. Yes, it's cool, it's fun. I'm not going to lie, I play with it. It did me
Mhm.
and Superman, but I'm not going to use that as a marketing tool. But the more we see the fake, the more we're going to crave the real.
Mhm.
Because even the bots that we can answer in a conversation, or the ones that will basically do all your social media engagement, if I find out that I'm working with a company that has a bot that's talking to me, if it's not clearly defined, I'm not going to feel like I can trust that company. It's going to immediately put me in a place of distrust rather than a place of trust. So I think the more the same things become, which I agree 100%. In fact, I'm taught constantly when I use AI as my little partner, I'm constantly saying, can you stop using all these stupid words that everybody else uses? Do not use this word anymore. Because how many times do you hear words that are now have no meaning?
Mhm.
And you're like, can we say it a different way? Get a thesaurus. Anyway, so what are your thoughts on that? The authenticity. I mean, do you agree with that? Do you not? You're allowed to disagree with me. That is perfectly
Oh,
fine. If
no.
you
No, I definitely agree. Yeah, I think so, like, we there's a lot of fear in AI, but I've really just realized the last, like, few days, honestly, that AI is going to be trouble for people in, like, more of corporate positions. I have a friend who is currently working for Walmart, but is losing her job because they're replacing her with AI. And so I think, like, that is only gonna affect really big businesses because it does take a lot to, like, build that out, train that, have, like, a whole system in place for that. But these people in, like, the solopreneur to mid-sized business stage, like, I don't think it's really gonna impact us in a negative way, I would like to hope. Like, yeah, I do use AI as, like, a brainstorming tool. I use it as, like, a draft, but, like, as you were saying, everything is the same. AI copy should never be your final answer, so use it as
exactly
free and then turn it into your own stuff. Erase
right.
everything, use your own words. In regards to photography, I don't think it'll ever replace that because everything does look very fake. It is not like we can still call it out. Maybe we don't even recognize that it's AI, but we're like, "Oh, I feel like disconnected to this picture. Something is weird here." And you might not like if you're using that as your brand photos, you might not notice it right away, but you'll see over time people are having a hard time connecting with you because it's not real. There's this girl that I follow I met in, like, communities, and she uses AI generated portraits for all of her things, and every time I'm just like, That's weird." I don't know, like, I can't connect to it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the way photography works is there's now a lot of an AI generated aids to help
Mhm,
us to process images faster.
mhm.
that you still have to, make them your own and dial the dials so it's not like perfectly white teeth, so that it looks fake. So you still have to kind of put your own edge to it, but it does make the process quicker. But you can push it so that they are more AI looking, even a photograph. And then you've taken the authenticness out. There's ways of diminishing features to make somebody look better, but then there's ways of making them look perfect. And that's where we get into now it looks like, or the twinkle that was really in their eye is now replaced with a fake one. And it just doesn't, there's something about it. Just like you said, you get this feeling like you're just disconnected from it. You don't know why. I know why, you know why, but
Yeah.
we can educate people, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So when you get to, I loved something you had said in your information about the truth about do-it-yourself marketing, because I'm like a major do-it-yourselfer, have been for years. I always love to understand. So if there's a problem, I can fix it. But if I don't want to do this, I also know to hire somebody, right? If I know that I don't like this, I want to hire somebody. So, but there's a point of me that I'm just a do-it-yourselfer. That's the way my brain works. I want to understand it, whether I do it or not. So, but with marketing, I see this a lot, and I'm sure you do too. What would you say is some of the biggest mistakes that are made by small business owners, entrepreneurs, even large companies that are really trying to do it themselves?
What are the mistakes? Yeah. So, what I would say is that a mistake I see often is like diving in without a strategy, which is hard for people to do because you started your business to do something, and now suddenly you have to be a bookkeeper, a blah blah blah, marketing strategist, and like it's really hard, and you don't know all the things that you don't know.
Right.
But this is why I'm here saying you should really start with a strategy, figure out what that is. It helps so much about like everything that we've talked about, and like I'm 5 years in full time into my business, and I literally just did my own strategy, and I'm like, oh my god, why have I waited so long? I've just been
So
flying.
much easier with a strategy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Gosh.
it is. So
Yeah.
like that's what I would say initially is having a strategy and having a really strong foundation, like your website and like having things set up and in place. And which is hard because you get really excited, you want to launch, you want to get out there, you want things to happen, but it'll save you years of like time and struggle if you have a really strong foundation in place first.
Okay, so talk to me as a person who doesn't know anything about this. What is a foundation for
Mhm.
in today's world? What's a foundation?
Yeah. So most importantly, a website. And if you don't have the resources to hire somebody, take the time, resources to do it. Like it's so important to have a really quality website that looks good, works fast, and works on mobile as well. Almost all of your visitors are going to be from their phone. So invest in that because it's your 24/7, always on, hardest working employee representing your brand, making the sales, blah, blah, blah. Like you want that to be good. So that's what I recommend. The second piece is like the strategy and branding that we've talked about, taking time to build that out and really understand about your brand and your audience and like what your approach is going to be. The second part or third part is having a newsletter sign up. So your emails are still the best way to connect with people. So have that built in on your website. If you're not ready to start sending newsletters yet, that's okay. But you want to be capturing everybody that comes to your website right away. So you can always start building that list out, even if you're not ready to commit to like doing regular newsletters. What else? And then yeah, I think those are really like the three main things that you want to focus on for your foundation.
Okay.
Behind the lens, crafting tales and news.
Bring your marketing, your brand to life with storytelling and strategy. Cut through the noise with clear messaging and compelling visuals that resonate with your ideal client. We bring strategy, story, and visuals to help you with your marketing. Visit Ariel Joy Faith rethinking.com and schedule a consultation and see how we can help you bring your brand to life.
Selfies here, just genuine sight. Authenticity in every lie.
So if you have, with the tools that are out there now, I mean, there's a million of them, but if you want to build something out, you need the funnel. So you need that lead generation so that you have you really only want to develop maybe a 1-page or 2-page thing. So would you recommend a lead page or landing page software to start, or just go with the full website? I mean, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so yeah, there are a lot of like CRMs and like systems that offer, like I know a lot of people use Kajabi, like Go High Level, things like that. I I honestly haven't really dove into those platforms. I haven't used them for clients or myself, so maybe I'm wrong about this, but I would really, really recommend having your own domain, your own website. Like not I know a lot of people use Canva and talk about that, but I think it's so important to have your own thing, like your own hosted domain, maybe your own WordPress or something, because you own that. I don't really know like yeah, I just don't know how those other platforms work in terms of like SEO and like when you grow, you want something that you can continue to build out on and not be limited. So I would always recommend having your own domain, your own website, even if it is just the one page, and then you're using those other platforms to kind of connect into that. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah. So you start small, but start,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Have a way.
Mhm.
And the domain is really important. And I'm still a believer that you should have an email that's connected
Yeah.
to your domain. There's so many businesses I know that have a Gmail account for their business. And I don't know about you, but and maybe it's because I'm older school, because I know now, you actually have to pay for email addresses for businesses now. Whereas, 5-10 years ago, they came with the domain.
Mhm.
You used to get 100 of them, and now you have to pay for every one of them. So, I mean, it's just they've changed the game on us multiple times. But what do you feel about that? If you're creating a store, you have a sign on the store, right? You have to decide what the name of the business is going to be. What's the sign on the door? So that's pretty much to me what a domain name is. It's your biggest identifier, I know a guy who, like, when he gets a creative idea, he'll buy the domain, whether he uses it or not. He just keeps buying domains.
Me too.
But they became useful to him through the years because he's been able to use them for different funnel systems. But from your perspective, what is the reason for having the domain name versus using I can go to Wix, create a site, and it'll have a Wix link, Wix dot blah, 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 blah. But I agree 100% that that's where you need to start at your house and then work your way out. That's kind of how I feel with marketing. So
Yeah.
explain that to the audience that doesn't necessarily understand the difference.
Yeah. So having that set up in your own name and like not using a Gmail thing, or yeah, it could be hosted through Gmail, but you're using your domain email. There's a lot of trust that goes into it, and then it adds a layer of like legitimacy to your brand. So if I go to a website and it's like whatever.wix.com, I'm like, okay, that's weird. Or if I'm emailing somebody at their just like business name at gmail.com, I'm like, like for me, it feels like something is missing, and I don't need like, I really like working with small businesses and buying from small businesses, but, like, you need to have some layer of, like, credibility, and it just kind of makes me trust more that, like, okay, they have systems in place, they're taking this seriously. I can trust that what they say is real, and if something, happens, I can trust that, like, they'll follow up. It just feels more legitimate and, like, you know what you're doing, I guess. It's like the same AI thing that we were talking about. Like something's wrong. I can't really recognize it, but I just feel more connected to this real thing.
Yeah, it's like going to the back alley and buying something out of a window, right? You don't
Yeah.
know who's there or what.
Yeah.
There's this level of uncertainty, and today we have so much fraud and
Mhm.
craziness that comes through You land in everybody's spam folders. I mean, we have to deal with so much that without that authentic home, business home, and business name or whatever it is you use, you do feel like, well, maybe they're going to be gone in a month. There's a level of uncertainty that's attached to that.
Yeah, because it's not an investment. It is an investment, but it's very small. Like under $50, you can buy your domain, have your platform, have your email. And if you don't take that next step, I'm just like, why don't you want to invest in that? What's missing here?
Yeah. And usually it's they don't understand the value or the reason, which is kind of why we're talking about it.
Now you know.
Yeah. So when you're dealing with social media, there's different generational. We often hear if your target audience is in this generation, you should be on these platforms. In this generation, you should be on these platforms. What is your thoughts on platforms? I mean, there's so many of them, it's become overwhelming. But when it comes to maybe the top 5 or the ones you should not ignore, what would you say those are?
Yeah, so I would say for the most part, the lines between like it can reach this generation here and here and here are pretty non-existent. Yeah, maybe like an older generation is on Facebook more, but everybody is really everywhere. So I feel like maybe that's not something you totally pay attention to. What I recommend is like, what are the ways that you like to create content? Because consistency is the biggest part. So if you think your target audience is on TikTok, but you hate making videos, then like, that's not the place that you should be because you're never going to make videos. So I really just say like, what do you like to do? Do you like to create videos? Do you like to write captions? Do you like to create graphics? Do you like to just write little things? Like what platform aligns with the types of content you want to create and then live there because you will have an audience there. It doesn't matter. What was I there was some other thought I had to that, but I forget. So yeah, just align yourself with the platforms that make sense with the type of content you want to create. Oh,
Very good advice.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would add though that unfortunately Instagram is kind of like a home base, I would say. And so I think it is good to have like just some existence there. Maybe you don't want to dive in, but if you have like some posts just to kind of get people familiar with you, because I feel like Instagram has kind of become like another legitimacy factor. We go there to kind of scope people out. So just having a presence there, I think, is important too, even if you're not super active.
Yeah, this year I shifted my attention from Instagram to I still post on Instagram, but my content I create for LinkedIn and then I cross post over it. So it's going there, it's moving there. But I changed my focus because I work business to business. So I decided to put more energy into the LinkedIn platform because pretty much if you're in there, you're a business person. And it's a little less I don't get distracted as much with all the funny videos and the millions of other things that you get thrown in your face. But what about this is really important. I think that I find people misunderstand being authentic online.
Mhm.
And I think that there's, when you have a personal account and you have a business account, right? There's a level of personal information that you might share with your friends and family that you may not share in your business world, right? There's a separation that we may want or we may not want, right? Some people merge the two and are perfectly fine with that. I'm very separate
Mm.
in I have different communities because I don't want to sell to my friends and family.
Yeah.
So that's just me. That's how I roll. But there's also I've seen people being authentic. They think they're being authentic and they get online, they do a live and they're talking about how their cat just died and they're feeling horrible and then and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I am not resonating with your negative mood, right? So
Yeah.
if I need you to be positive for me and you're sharing, I mean, being authentic and saying that, I know what it's like to lose an animal is
Mhm.
very different than being in the moment of the emotion and sharing the emotion online. So
Yeah.
how do you help your audience and your clients to balance
Mhm.
not giving too much or even defining what you will talk about and what you won't, creating those boundaries around your social media for you, which will be different than me?
Yeah. I really like what you said, like, speak and talk about things as a reflection and not in that moment, because it is really, really important to make those connections, and that is talking about harder things sometimes. And so I think those are important pieces if you're comfortable doing it. Primarily more for like service providers or people like where you're working one on one with people who are working with you. It is good to make those deeper connections. But yeah, I think speaking to it, like reflecting and sharing a story and like an outcome is way better than just being like, oh my God, my cat just died. Maybe like you have a close you send that to like your close friends or something on Instagram. But yeah, I like that separation between the two.
Yeah, and I think we need permission sometimes, especially as women, to have a boundary,
Hmm.
to not have to. You can still be authentic and have a boundary around your work presence
Yeah.
versus your
Yeah.
Friday night presence, right? I mean, we're allowed to create those distances because the last thing you want. I mean, I know that this shocks a lot of young people who post a lot of parties and stuff, but they don't realize that that will affect them getting hired.
Hmm.
Because some of these companies check people's social media before they hire them. So that is a legitimate thing. But when we are being authentic and trying to create real connections, what is some of the things that you think are pivotal, like really, really important in that process, but maintaining those boundaries?
Mm. Yeah, so I would say, like, what is pivotal is how you can tie it back to what you're offering and how you support people. So, like, I don't want to continue with the cat dying example. My cat actually just heard me and was like screaming and walking.
Oh, poor kitty.
Like, why are you
Yeah,
talking about
that was
that?
just a really good example of a bad example. Somebody who I know where you're going, so I'm going to try to help. But I help women,
Hmm.
right? I help women more than I help men. I will help
Hmm.
both, but I help women. Why? Because I am a woman. I understand women. I understand the struggles of being a business owner. So my experience gives me
Hmm.
compassion and understanding and credibility
Hmm.
that me not sharing those vulnerable things wouldn't you wouldn't have as much belief that I can help you if I hadn't shared some of those vulnerabilities. Is that
Yeah.
kind of what you
Yeah, exactly. Like, here's what I'm struggling with in my business is A, B, and C. And here's how I like made these pivots. Here's the exact steps that I took. Here's how you can do that if you're feeling the same. And when you say things like, here's what I'm struggling with, that goes back to like something we talked about a while ago was like, oh, that is exactly what I'm also struggling with. Let me hear what she has to say. Now I feel like we've bonded. I know what she's dealing with. We can relate to that. This is what worked for her. Let me see if it works for me. So, like, it is good to share these things. And also, just like, I would say that goes back to your strategy. If you're going to be like the face of your brand, is like, what do I feel comfortable sharing? How will I share it? And like, what are my boundaries on the things that I do share?
yeah, it's respecting yourself in the process,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you might be the face of the brand, but you can still respect
Yeah.
the other pieces of your life because it's not all you are, right? It's just
Mm-hmm.
a part of you, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. Anything you would like to give the audience, some advice, some thoughts, any kind of like, hey, if you don't know where to go, start here, whatever you're thinking of. This is kind of like your closing statement for this podcast. So, what would you like to share with the audience?
Yeah. So, what I would say is like finding community has been really, really important and valuable, I think, because people are kind of shifting off of social. So I think finding a community to help you grow your business and relate and like all the things that we've talked about where you can be honest and make real connections has been the most valuable thing for me and a lot of other people. So I would say, like, find communities that really land with you, test many different out, and find where, like, what feels like home and feels like a good connection in terms of the people. If you are working specifically on your marketing, you can always come into the greenhouse. I would love to have you there. And you could use podcasts at checkout for a heavily discounted membership. So inside there, you can get tons of support. I'm always there to help you with all the things that you're struggling with. There's tons of resources as well. And I also have tons of other community recommendations that I frequent and enjoy and know are really supportive. So if you want that list, feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, and we will put that information in the show notes so that we can connect with Berlyn. And I am looking forward to seeing you grow.
Yeah, same. It's been so fun to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you again for being with us.
Yeah.
See you next episode. After all, it is your brand, your story, and your success because I know that you matter in business. Thank you for listening to You Matter in Business podcast. Please follow, share, like, and comment. I would love to hear from you. This podcast is sponsored by Ariel Faith Storytelling Marketing and Your Brand Photographer. The show notes provide more information on how to contact Ariel and more information about this episode. Thank you again.
They told you to quiet down, but now you wear a crown. Visionary queen with a spark, lighting up the dark. Rediscover your own fire, chase the dreams that lift you higher. Redefine your role today, brand new in every way. Build your confidence through my lens, break the walls you put up since. Embrace your power, hear your roar. You are meant for so much more. You are meant for so much more.